Hello. I want to talk to you today about the traditional Britain Group's position on the East Europe scenario that's developing there. We do not believe that it is in Britain's interests to get involved in anything in Eastern Europe or indeed in Europe itself. We feel that two world wars and the 20th century have been sufficient for us on the continent and have done us no good whatsoever. We've achieved nothing in real terms as far as Britain is concerned, and our concern is for Britain. Now, on the continent at the moment, we have a situation developing in the Ukraine. We, Britain, are not interested in the Ukraine. We're not interested in any of the East European countries, apart from maybe traveling there as tourists. All of these countries have been fighting each other for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years, that's a long time. And it's got nothing whatsoever to do with us. We should not be getting involved in any way, shape, or form in these almost tribal conflicts of the Slavs. It's absolutely crucial that we understand everything from a historical perspective, and that is examining Russian history and Polish history and the history of the Baltic states. It's worth remembering that when Britain went to war in 1939, they did so on the understanding that they were guaranteeing Poland's sovereignty. But when the Soviet Union invaded Poland from the other side, just 3 weeks later, the United Kingdom did nothing. They did not declare war on the Soviet Union. This is an instance of hopeless diplomacy, hopeless grasp of history, and we should not be getting involved. The Ukraine used to be one of the Soviet Socialist republics. Its borders were administrative borders set down by the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. There is doubtless some degree of alteration to be done there, but it's nothing to do with us. These things are a matter for negotiation between the Ukrainians and the Russians. The United States has been cranking up Russophobia since the end of communism in 1991. Why have we got on board with this? We should be trying to get along with Russia. Russia is a great, big, gigantic country. It has a vast population. It goes all the way to the Pacific Ocean. We should be trying to be friends with everyone and enemies of no one. And yet the Americans have this agenda that they've got to have some kind of enemy. And this brings me to NATO. The traditional Britain Group have always been opposed to the United Kingdom's involvement in NATO since 1991. In 1991, communism and the Soviet Union collapsed. So the purpose that NATO was set up for, to be a counter to communism and the Soviet Union, suddenly lost all meaning. It should have been disbanded at that point. But no, the Americans have kept it going as one of their proxy forces and dragged us into innumerable conflicts which had nothing whatsoever to do with Great Britain, nothing in our interests, just continual American conflicts. We should get out of NATO and stop this. Why do we have our men in Eastern Europe? Why is there a 100-man combat battle unit in Estonia? What on earth has this got to do with Britain? In what way is this in Britain's interests? After all, Britain did nothing when the Soviets walked into Estonia in 1940. And the Soviets have gone, and Russia is not going to invade the Baltic states. We've got to get over the past. We've got to move on to the future. And it does not mean saber rattling right along the Russian border on behalf of the United States of America. The Americans are thousands of miles from Europe. Let them stay there. Get out of European affairs. Mind your own business. And Britain needs to do the same. We have no interests in European politics, and certainly no interests in 1,000-year-old conflicts between countries and nations in Europe. It's time we stopped all this. It's time our men stopped dying for no good reason whatsoever. We have a duty to Britain, to our people. We do not have a lot of money. I get sick and tired of hearing government representatives telling us that we are one of the richest countries in the world. If that is the case, why are we borrowing money on the international money markets every single week? We are not in a position to maintain huge armies, huge navies, and all the rest of it. We lost our empire. We've got out of all our colonies. And we are now sitting here, a nice, cozy target on a small island off the coast of Europe. We don't want to make ourselves a target on behalf of the United States. It's time to withdraw from all these warmongering exercises across the world and look after Britain's interests altogether. Forget about the continent. It's done us no good. In a century of warfare, we have actually been the losers. Please, we've got to do something about this. Tell your members of parliament. Thank you.